Robinson Crusoe, adapted for English language learners at level A2 by Story Steps. Chapter 1. Dreams of the Sea. My name is Robinson Crusoe. I was born in the city of York, in the north of England, in 1632. My father was from Germany and had come to England many years before. He worked in business and wanted a calm, honest life. My mother was English, kind and careful. We lived in a strong brick house on a quiet street near the river. My father always said that peace and safety were life's greatest treasures. From the time I was little, he talked to me about the middle way. He said, "A man should not be poor, but he should not try to become rich either. The middle life is best. It is steady, healthy, and loved by God." He wanted me to study law and stay near home. My mother agreed. "Your father is right, Robinson. The sea brings nothing but danger." But I was not like them. While other boys studied or played in the yard, I walked down to the harbour. I watched the big ships moving slowly on the river. I loved the sound of ropes moving and waves slapping against the wood. The smell of salt filled the air. Sailors called to one another, their voices rough but full of life. They told stories of foreign lands, shining parrots, and wild storms. Every story made me dream more strongly about the world beyond York. Sometimes my father came with me and pointed at the ships. "Those men risk everything for gold," he said. "Many will never see their families again. Promise me, Robinson, you will never go to sea." I nodded politely, but I could already hear the sea whispering in my heart. When I turned 19, my father became ill and stayed in bed for many weeks. One evening he called me to him. "My son," he said softly, "you are restless, but listen to me. The sea is not for you. It takes good men and never gives them back. Stay where life is safe." His words touched me deeply, and I promised to obey. For a time, I tried. Yet every day I walked by the port of Hull. Traders shouted, children played near the boxes, gulls circled overhead. The river flowed out to the wide ocean, and I longed to follow it. At home, I could think of nothing else. My mother noticed and said, "Robinson, danger waits behind every wave." I smiled and said nothing. One day I met a friend whose father owned a small ship. "We sail for London tomorrow," he told me. "Come with us. The trip is short and easy. You can see what the sea is really like." That night I could not sleep. The wind outside sounded like the sea calling my name. If I do not go now, I will regret it forever, I thought. Before sunrise, I packed a small bag with a shirt, some bread, and a few coins. My hands were shaking as I stepped quietly out of the house. The morning air was cold and smelled of rain. I walked quickly through the empty streets until I reached the harbour. The ship waited, rocking gently in the grey light. My friend waved from the deck. "You are just in time." When the ship left the river and reached the open sea, I felt free for the first time in my life. The wind blew in my hair, and the water shone under the sun. Gulls cried above us, and the land slowly disappeared behind the waves. My heart beat fast with joy and fear. At first the sea was calm. The sailors laughed, smoked their pipes, and sang rough songs. They showed me how to tie knots and pull ropes. I tried to copy them and felt proud when I managed a good knot. I thought, this is the life I was born for. But the next day, everything changed. The sky turned dark and heavy. The wind blew stronger and stronger until the sails pulled tight and the ship leaned to one side. The captain shouted orders. The men ran, closing sails and tying ropes, their voices lost in the roar of the sea. The waves grew high and cold. Water crashed across the deck. I grabbed a rope with both hands, shaking with fear. My stomach turned and my head spun. The ship rose on a mountain of water and dropped again with a crash. I thought of my father's words. The sea will take your soul. I believed I would die. For the first time in my life, I prayed aloud. Oh God, if you save me, I will go home. I will never go to sea again. The storm lasted through the night. Slowly, the wind grew weaker and the rain stopped. The sun broke through the clouds and the sea became calm again. The sailors laughed and drank rum. It was only a small storm, one said, but I was white and shaking. That evening, the captain looked at me kindly. First time at sea, eh? You'll learn. I nodded but said nothing. My legs were weak, and I wanted only to sleep. When I woke the next morning, the sun was shining, and the sea was bright blue. I felt ashamed of my fear. Am I a coward? Someone who is always afraid? I asked myself. Sailors face this every week. I must be brave. My promise to God began to fade. By the time we reached London, I had almost forgotten the storm. The city amazed me. The streets were full of noise and people. Horses pulled carts, bells rang, traders shouted their prices. I saw shops selling maps, spices, and strange fruits from the far countries. I watched sailors unload goods from Africa and the Caribbean. Everywhere there was movement and adventure. In the evenings I sat by the river, watching ships prepare to sail. I talked with sailors who told me about Africa and the gold trade. Their stories filled me with excitement again. One night in a tavern near the port, I met a sea captain preparing a voyage to Africa. He liked my questions and said, "Come with me, Crusoe. You will learn trade and see the world. We will bring goods home and make a fortune." I hesitated. I thought of my parents, perhaps sitting by the fire in York and wondering where I was. Then I remembered the smell of salt, the sound of waves, and the shining horizon. "Yes," I said, "I will go." That night, as I walked along the quiet river, the water shone silver in the moonlight. Far away, a gull cried. I looked up at the stars and whispered, "This is my beginning." I did not know that this choice would change my life forever, that I would face storms, slavery, and years of loneliness on a distant island. But that night, I felt only joy and hope. The sea was calling, and I was ready to follow.